What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Church and State. What the heck is going on with gas prices? They must be higher than Hunter Biden. They're higher than Snoop Dogg. They are really high.
For what?
For what? Look at this.
That's just nothing but cigarette.
This cig of weed.
Let's break it down. So if you really want to know why gas prices are high, check out my last video that I did. We talk about kind of the state of the union and we break it down into why the gas prices are so high, because we're not making it here. We're paying for delivery plus to use it. It's kind of like buying a pizza from New York. I'm in California. Why would I want to buy a pizza from New York when I can just make it here? You know what I mean? With that said though, on this show, we keep the state out of the church, but not the church out of the state. But the only way for the state to be out of the church is if the church is involved in the state. For example, I have this meme here. I want you to look at it. Woke Christians who were doing all the anti-nationalism talk during the election, pulling up to the gas pump today. And I mean this in love. This doesn't just refer to Christians and everything who say that we shouldn't be involved in politics. It involves to anybody in that, or anybody who had an idea that we should be nice and loving and just forget about any type of policy. They're paying the price now. The idea that elections have consequences is hitting people harder than ever. The record high gas prices that we're seeing are a direct result of who we elected. Elections have consequences. Weakness has consequences for the rest of the world and for your bank account, for your family. And this is great because you have all these people who are saying, it's like Christian nationalism, you MAGA supporters, you this, you that. And it really highlights the lack of critical thinking. I'm not here to say you need to do this or that. Obviously, I have my own beliefs. My grandfather always says, a man changed against his will is of the same opinion still. So I can sit here and say, hey, you should do this, you should do that. But if I can help you critically think to get to a logical conclusion, and maybe think through some points, that is you navigating your own way. And then that way, you'll be a more well-informed citizen. The God in heaven has given each of us a mind and a brain to think. And we should be thinking and not just quoting talking points. Oh, hey, real quick, if you would like to support this content, the videos that we do, the articles, and the website, everything that we're doing with Red Liberty Media, help us grow. Become a Patreon subscriber today. The link right here will help you do that. Just click that, and it'll also be in the description box below this video. Anyways, back to our scheduled program. But going back to my first point, in order to keep the state out of the church, let me break it down a little more. In order for the state's policies, the bad policies, to not affect your life, you need to be involved in government, in local government, in holding your leaders accountable, showing up at school board meetings, voting, and making sure you're voting on issues that are important, that are eternally true, and have timeless wisdom. Remember we talked about that? Things that are eternally true, not just, I don't like him because of his hair, or I don't like him because of the way he talks, or he has mean tweets. How about, where does he stand on baby murder? Where does he stand on traditional family? What kind of foreign policy does he have? You know, people want to say Christians, the church should not be engaged in politics. The church and state should be separate, right? I say no. In our Western way of thinking, we think the religious and the secular are two separate things. Our founders, and also the Jewish way of thinking, is actually that everything is sacred unto God. And that in order to be a just and moral society, as George Washington talks about, that religion and morality are indispensable for that. In other words, you can't have a just and moral society, kind of like a Marxist, you can't have this utopia without morality and religion. Our founders got that from the Bible. So it's a real short video today, but I want you to listen to this clip real quick.
We all have three parts. We have a body. All of us have one. Some have more than we wish we had. But we have a soul and a spirit. A soul is the mind or the will. You make up your mind, the will or the emotions. But then the spirit. And if you don't understand the spiritual part, you can't lead. The spirit of the core, the esprit de corps, the spirit of a nation. Leadership requires spirit. Spirit is a spiritual encounter. If a person doesn't understand that, then all they do is focus on the flesh, and so they're consumed by all of that, and they miss what's going on in life. That not only do we have to make the mental decisions, understanding the history and be informed. Not only do we have to have health and take care of ourselves and not allow people to steal it from us, but then we have to have a spiritual aspect. And the spiritual aspect of all the great leaders of our nation have understood, and what the church provides is access to a Heavenly Father who knows and loves us. So if we're going to make a turning point for our marriage, a turning point for an individual, we also have to have an appreciation for a turning point of faith. And you mentioned about the nation that doesn't do that, then it's only who has the bigger stick, who has the bigger group, and you can tell it by listening to a politician for 60 seconds. When they talk about women's rights, and they talk about Hispanic rights, they talk about there are no blonde left-handed rights. There's only rights that come from God, and He gave them to all of us. And as long as we did so, then we were one as a nation. The idea to separate us out by skin color or by gender or by anything else, that is what separates America. And what does faith do? Faith brings us together. So it's an essential ingredient in all that we're doing.
Wasn't that good? Think about things a little more deeply and realize there are powers at B that want to control the way you think and the way you act and the information that you have to act on. The powers at B will only give you certain information because they know only if you have certain information, they can control the way you act. Take a pause today to actually consider, what is this information? Why is it there? Why am I hearing about this? Is there anything they're trying to divert my attention away? Maybe like a sleight of hand trick. The last thing you want is to elect somebody who is more decent than the previous successor and have it affect your gas prices and your wallet and your family and your well-being, just like what's happening now. It's crazy. Gas prices. Gas prices. Yeah. And with that, God bless you all. I will see you next time on Church in the State. And who knows? Gas prices may be even higher or they may be lower. We will see what happens.